Sign up for free Stratfor Intelligence. Simply enter your email address to receive 2 free reports each week.
There are the concerns that the situation in Japan continues to deteriorate. We've seen evacuation zones expanded, we've seen fluctuating levels of radiation as far away as Tokyo, and we've seen additional explosions at the nuclear power facilities. Foreign governments are starting to request or urge their citizens to leave Japan. There are concerns not only about radioactive fallout, but about the long-term implications for the Japanese economy, for Japanese infrastructure, and even in the short term for the distribution of goods and services. It's still likely to be days before we can have a fuller assessment of the impact of the nuclear crisis in Japan right now. There are conflicting reports and constantly changing reports of the levels of radiation. Some of these are reaching hundreds of miles away from the facility. Outside of the zones immediately around the nuclear facility, the potential for radiation sickness is much lower, but there are longer-term implications, including contamination of dust, contamination of foods, and this can lead to an extended cleanup period even after the immediate crisis is resolved. One of the most significant questions for the Japanese in the near term, outside of the specific nuclear problem, is the question of evacuations. We're seeing foreign countries urging evacuation. The Japanese have evacuated a zone around the nuclear facility, but are not yet calling for evacuations further south in Tokyo. The logistics of an evacuation of Tokyo are fairly substantial. Even more so could be problems caused by self-evacuation, by people panicking, starting to try to move out of the city themselves. Damage reports from Japan are still coming in. The earthquake damage was relatively small. The tsunami damage seems to have been fairly substantial, but particularly in the north. This is not the heaviest part of industrial Japan. The main industry is in the south, but it does have an impact on the overall supply chains. It's had an impact on the distribution of electricity and availability of electricity within the country. Some of the industrial sectors hit so far are the automobile industry, semiconductor industry, and we may see some impact on agriculture as well. The government, which was already facing pressure internally, is working very hard to try to find a way to manage the situation, to try to pull Japan out of it. In the past, we've seen Japan able to pull out of a natural disaster even stronger than prior to the disaster. However, with the nuclear crisis ongoing right now, it is unclear what the long-term implications are.